Hello everyone, you're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
59-year-old pedestrian dies in hospital after hit and run in Etobicoke. Sunwing incredibly sorry after holiday travel disruptions leave customers stranded. One person in critical condition after reported explosion at trailer in North York. Ontario NDP to confirm MPP Marit Stiles as leader in February. Police seek witnesses info to warn Shisha bar shooting. Rate of dispensing Paxlovid up 130% since Ontario pharmacists were allowed to prescribe. Tory calls for nearly $2 billion investment in Toronto housing, maintaining nuts and bolts services in 2023 budget.
Those were the headlines, and now let's jump right into the details.
A 59-year-old pedestrian has died in hospital after being struck in a hit and run in Etobicoke Wednesday evening, according to Toronto police. The incident happened around 5:10 p.m. in the area of 2nd Street and Lakeshore Boulevard West. Police say the driver of the dark pillared Ford pickup truck was traveling west on Lakeshore Boulevard West and made a right turn northbound onto 2nd Street. As the driver was turning, a man was crossing 2nd Street from west to east on the north side of Lakeshore Boulevard West, according to police. The driver subsequently struck the man and he was rushed to hospital in life-threatening condition, where he later died from his injuries, police said. The pickup truck fled the scene and was last seen traveling north on 2nd Street, police said. On Thursday, police released an image of the pickup truck. No suspect information has been released. Sunwing has issued an apology to passengers left stranded after winter storms upended operations, but says most of our customers enjoyed their holidays with minimal disruption. In a joint statement on Thursday, Sunwing Travel Group CEO Stephen Hunter and Sunwing Airlines President Len Corrado said they are incredibly sorry for letting our customers down. We regret that we did not meet the level of service our customers expect from Sunwing, the executive said. Hundreds of passengers were affected by Sunwing flight disruptions, which began to pile up on December 22nd due to weather. Some customers were stranded for days in topical destinations amid a flurry of cancellations, winter storms, and a breakdown with the airline's digital communication service that left some flights with empty seats. The company said it has completed all recovery flights related to holiday disruptions and has a plan to fix technical issues with flight alert notifications and communication flow to customers. Police in York Region are looking for suspects and witnesses to a shooting at a shisha bar in Vaughan. The incident happened on Monday shortly before 3 a.m. at La Shisha Bar and Grill at 4040 Steeles Avenue West, just west of Western Road. York Regional Police said when officers arrived at the scene, they learned that an altercation had taken place between male patrons inside the restaurant lounge. The fight reportedly progressed outside to a parking lot where the sound of gunshots was heard. Police said one victim, a 34-year-old woman who sustained a non-life-threatening gunshot wound, was taken to hospital before they arrived. The suspects also fled the scene before the authorities got there, police said. Investigators said they believe this incident was isolated and there is no threat to public safety. Several potential witnesses were at the establishment at the time of shooting and police want to speak with them. One person was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries following a reported explosion at a trailer in North York late Wednesday. Toronto Fire said they responded to a trailer in the area of Glencairn and Glen Park Avenues, just east of Allen Road, at around 11:45 p.m. When crews arrived, they found one person in a trailer with burns. The person was transferred to paramedics. Toronto Police said they sustained life-threatening injuries. Toronto Police said there were reports of propane leaking inside the trailer, leading to an explosion. Firefighters did not encounter any fire when they arrived, Toronto Fire said. They said they could not immediately confirm the explosion. Toronto Fire investigators are looking into the incident and a fire watch has been set up. Images from the scene Thursday morning showed a number of propane tanks on the grass outside the trailer, along with scattered items from the home. No injuries has been reported. A neighbor who lives in the area told CP24 that the trailer showed up at the spot in early December. He said a person was observed handling propane tanks there and that unusual activity at the site prompted a call to police. Toronto Police would not confirm that they had previously been called to the site but said The Ontario Fire Marshal is investigating and will decide whether there was any sort of criminal element to the fire. The Ontario New Democratic Party is hoping to confirm Toronto Area MPP Marit Stiles as their new leader a full month earlier than anticipated. The party's provincial council is meeting Thursday night to decide whether to act on recommendations that would see a confirmation vote held virtually on February 4th. The original date would have seen a leadership vote take place on March 4th. In a notice on the NDP's website, the Chief Electoral Officer has also recommended the Provincial Council move to online voting and change all leadership debates to events designed to get to know the candidate. Stiles, the Member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of Davenport, is the only candidate running for leader of the Ontario NDP. Once confirmed, she will take over for Peter Tabuns, who has been acting as interim leader since Andrew Horwath resigned in June. The NDP confirmed Stiles would be running unopposed in early December, saying they're confident she can unite the province to defeat Premier Duckford. Political analysts have said the NDP should get the confirmation vote over with instead of waiting until the March convention date. There's no suspense over who it's going to be. Put the reins in their hands, CTV News political analyst Scott Reed said back in December. She's the only candidate. She will win, so make it official fast and then let her get going at the difficult job she has.
Let's listen in live.
Work on maintaining our strong credit rating, which has been reaffirmed several times in recent years by the credit rating agencies. So as we're continuing to emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic, there are continuing costs arising from the pandemic, especially when it comes to transit and shelters, impacts well beyond those faced by any other city in the country. And that's because of the size of our city, it's because of the complexity and size of our transit and shelter systems, and that size and complexity, I would argue, without much fear of contradiction, is not fully recognized as it should be when programs are fashioned to assist cities with the costs associated with some of these issues. I continue to believe very strongly that it is fair and financially sensible for the other governments to assist us with these entirely COVID-related financial challenges. And while we have received billions from these governments over 3 pandemic years, including a recent commitment for 2022 from the province of Ontario, keeping the country's economic engine in the best shape to recover will require continued, though diminished, investment by those governments, something that I'm working on continuously. So my focus, as I've worked with
Toronto Mayor John Tory is proposing a nearly $2 billion investment in housing initiatives and improvements to key services, including park and recreation center maintenance, in the city's 2023 budget. Tory outlined the proposed budget Thursday and said it will improve and protect services that Torontonians use on a regular basis and will support key housing initiatives to address affordability and supply concerns in the city. The city would put $616 million from its tax base towards the overall $2 billion housing investment, Tory said, not including ongoing COVID-19 expenses. Tory is calling on other levels of government to provide the remaining funds to meet the proposed budget total. The housing initiatives build on the city's Housing Action Plan passed in December 2022, which outlines significant changes to existing zoning regulations, including permitting multiplexes on all residential lots and eliminating so-called exclusionary zoning policies that prohibit modest density in most residential neighborhoods. The investments announced today that are proposed to 2023 budget include $3.5 million in new funding to fully support the implementation of legalizing multi-tenant housing, $7.08 million for the eviction prevention intervention in the community program, $18.85 million for the multi-unit residential acquisition program, $146 million for operation of the city's housing secretariat, which includes housing development, revitalization, and improvement and support of tenants, $295.8 million for the city's subsidy to Toronto Community Housing Corporation, as well as the further $10.8 million as they work to mitigate the impacts of the COVID-19. As of the nuts and bolts services, the budget includes protecting recreation center hours during slower seasons, maintaining outdoor pools and rink schedules, continuing to deploy seasonal parks works teams for spring and fall cleanup, and keeping wading pools and all youth spaces open in the city facilities. Tory's budget also aims to increase the Toronto Public Library budget by $5 million from 2022 and continuing COVID-19 support of $3.6 million, protecting the winter maintenance budget and ensuring seasonal washrooms and fountains of city parks are open early in the spring and late in the fall through an added investment of more than $2.86 million. The rate of dispensing Paxlovid and oral antiviral treatment for COVID-19 increased by more than 130% since pharmacists were permitted to prescribe the medication, the Ontario government says. Pharmacists have been able to prescribe Paxlovid to patients since December 12. Prior to that date, Ontarians needed a prescription from a doctor or clinical assessment center in order to access the treatment. Justin Bates, CEO of the Ontario Pharmacists Association, said it made sense for pharmacists to help prescribe Paxlovid because of the short time frame in which it should be taken. The medication works best when taken within 5 days of onset symptoms, officials have said. Once obtained, patients take 2 doses each day for 5 days. According to the Ministry of Health, there has been 131% increase in the rate of Paxlovid dispensing since December 12. In total, the ministry says more than 101,000 prescriptions have been dispensed in Ontario by pharmacists, physicians, and nurse practitioners. Paxlovid is only available to those at high risk of severe illnesses or hospitalization as a result of COVID-19. While the treatment is relatively easy for patients to take at home, experts say it is also quite a complex medication with a huge number of drug interactions. Just under a month after pharmacists began to prescribe the COVID treatment, their responsibilities were expanded to include the ability to prescribe medication for 13 common ailments. The 13 conditions include hay fever, oral thrush, dermatitis, pink-eyed menstrual cramps, acid reflux, hemorrhoids, cold sores, impetigo, insect bites and hives, tick bites, sprains and strains, and UTIs. Minister of Health Sylvia Jones said at the time of the move will provide Ontarians with more convenience and will free up doctors to provide care for the more complex needs. CTV News Toronto has asked the Ministry of Health how many pharmacies have said they will be offering prescribing services and was told that new numbers would be available sometime next week. Ontario is actually a fair way behind other provinces, Grindrod said. Most other provinces had some variation of the minor ailments programming for quite a while. In some places, like Saskatchewan, it's been over 10 years. Grindrod said that prior to these changes, pharmacists were already doing the legwork for these prescriptions, answering questions patients may have about their ailments, addressing drug interactions, and adjusting dosages when necessary. The real change here is the pharmacists are actually being paid for that work that they were already doing.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.